Hey everybody, video here for you today. Let's go talk about some ancient history. We are going down to Windwick Bay, very northern Scotland here. Here is the area where some archaeological work is going on at a place called the Cairns. Here is the Tomb of the Eagles, and I know somebody did a video from there. I think it was JJ on her channel. Orkney is a pretty ancient place, but right down here, there's a place where they are excavating. It's called the Cairns Dig on Google Earth here. You back up here pretty close to the coast of the North Sea. Let's just read a little, take a look at a few pics. This is the blog for the University of the Highlands and Islands Archaeology Institute. And this article is entitled Whalebone Genetics and the Extraordinary Closure of a Broch. It says, results of DNA investigations undertaken on a large collection of whalebone from the University of the Highlands and Islands Archaeology Institute from the Iron Age archaeological site of the Cairns has afforded a glimpse into the complex relationship of Iron Age communities with whales. In particular, the identification of multiple whale bones belonging to a single large fin whale. It shows how its carcass was strategically and even ceremonially used and deposited during the ending of the monumental Broch. In the early summer of 2019, Dr. Vicky Szabo, shown here from Western Carolina University in North Carolina, and Dr. Brenna Fraser from St. Mary's University in Nova Scotia collaborated with Martin Carruthers from the University of Highlands and Islands Archaeological Institute to examine the collection of whalebone artifacts recovered from the Cairns excavation being undertaken by UHI Archaeological Institute in Orkney. The aim was to obtain genetic information in order to provide an assessment of what species of whale were present at the site. Here is a shot next to Windwick Bay here where the excavation is going on. It says the project has sampled the whale bones over a 1,400-year span from Newfoundland, Greenland, Iceland, Shetland, Orkney, and other places. Orkney and Iceland are the primary centers of the analysis, representing the eastern and western North Atlantic. Orkney offers exceptional assemblages of whale bones from many periods and sites from the Neolithic to the Norse eras and thereafter. So it seems humans were somehow, getting whales all the way back thousands and thousands of years ago. It says the types of objects produced in Orkney are remarkably stable over a long period of time as well. The Cairns, though, has given Vicky and Brenna their first opportunity to sample an ongoing excavation, with most of the other analysis undertaken on assemblages that were collected in the past. The results from the study show that some of the whale bones that were uncovered at the Cairns were from very large types of whale, including sperm whale, gray whale, and humpback. This is fascinating, and it raises questions about whether a site like the Cairns may have been able to stake a claim over the larger whale carcasses, and therefore, if this is an indication of the relative status and control of resources by the inhabitants of the site. One surprise, though, was the volume of bone belonging to fin whale species in the assemblage. It says fin whales are the second largest species on the planet after the blue whale itself and can grow up to 27 meters in length. Interesting, fin whales are also among the fastest whales in the sea, capable of bursts of 45 kilometers per hour when hunted or threatened, and they can dive very fast and very deeply. Indeed, in the modern era, the fin whale was really only hunted in large numbers once the explosive harpoon was invented. So it's unlikely that the Iron Age people hunted them, but rather just kind of came upon a stranded individual. And here's another pic of a fin whale. It says that does not mean that other types of whale were not hunted, and the question of whether some whales were proactively sourced during the Iron Age remains unanswered. Here's a look at some of the excavation work here. The stonework, a pretty fascinating part of the world with many different pretty cool periods of history. The latest stage of the genetic project permits us to connect an entire array of whalebone items. The genetic and molecular study of 33 whalebone items shows that 20 pieces were from the fin whale species. This is remarkable in of itself. However, two key mitochondrial haplotype regions of the genome of each bone were examined, and it is likely that all these fin whale items are from the same animal. This means that a single large fin whale may have been utilized during the last occupation and abandonment of the Broch. Now here is a remarkable find at the site. One of the bones of the giant fin whale is especially remarkable for its treatment. This was a large whalebone which had been carved from a substantial vertebrae to make a vessel. This vessel had been deposited just outside the Broch door at the very end of the Broch occupation. A remarkable assemblage of objects accompanied the vessel. 2 shed red deer antlers had been propped against the outside of the vessel, and a very large grinding stones or saddle quern was also placed snugly against the vessel as though to pin it firmly against the outer Broch wall. Inside the actual vessel were the remains of 2 newborn lambs and, most remarkably, the jawbone of an elderly human. This entire collection of items was very deliberately deposited, and it appears it must have been part of measures employed to perform an act of closure for the Broch. I find that pretty cool, pretty fascinating. I will leave this link below, but here's a diagram of the excavation, a circular enclosure of some sort here, and then the 6 different type of whale bones that were found here. It says whale bone seems to have been a highly important material for Iron Age communities. The appearance of these ocean giants on local beaches when stranded must have occasioned opportunities to recover large volumes of meat, oil, or fuel for lamps, as well as a substantial resource for making objects. Whalebone work clearly included things like our big vessel, also tool making, and also things such as making large roof rafters out of the ribs. Here are some more artifacts taken from the cairns. It says, there was a very practical bonus to be had in harvesting a very large whale, but we may also wonder if the appearance of such a large beast stranded on the shore meant more to Iron Age communities than just a resource. In many non-Western societies, and indeed many ancient European ones, sudden natural phenomena such as the highly prominent death of a significant type of animal may be seen as a conspicuous indication of arcane and esoteric forces, taken as a sign, an auspicious or an inauspicious omen. Even though stranding may have been more common with the larger population of whales thought to exist in prehistory, it might be that the practical impact and the potential ideological and psychological effects of the appearance of a big stranded whale created the critical timing and final motivation for a major change. And I just thought that was pretty interesting. I like talking about many different aspects of history, many different periods of history, coming from many different parts of the world, and this just seemed to fit in. The whale bone here used as a vessel, the other animal bones, the deer antlers and the lamb bones inside the vessel, the human jawbone. Pretty interesting story here. Here is another whalebone artifact coming from the site. I just thought this was interesting, coming from 2,000–3,000 years ago. Not really sure the exact dating here of the cairn, but that was a video I wanted to do. This is Windwick Bay, northern Scotland. Orkney, pretty fascinating part of the world. Hope you thought that was cool, and you all have a very nice day.